While migrant children are no longer being expelled from the U.S., the vast majority of families are still being removed from the country, within hours or days of arrival. Osman Velasquez fled Honduras with his wife and children. They were arrested at the border last week in Texas. After a few days in Border Patrol custody, Velasquez says they were put on a plane and flown to California. Then were walked across the border and left in Tijuana without any of their belongings.
No valoraron nuestro derecho, pues no tuvimos derecho a nada. No.
Talking to KPBS by phone, he said their rights weren't valued. They couldn't call their family, they were just deported and left elsewhere in Mexico, looking for a place to spend the night. Julia Neusner, a lawyer with the organization Human Rights First, says this practice is increasingly common, as some Mexican states near the Texas border are refusing to take families back from the U.S.
They were not given any information, had no idea they were being returned to Mexico. I asked a couple of the asylum seekers themselves, why do you think they transferred you here? And they said for punishment. They're trying to punish us, which is really heartbreaking.
As of the end of February, the amount of migrants arriving at the border in California has ticked up, but not as dramatically as elsewhere. While there were just under 600 more unaccompanied children in California as compared to last year, there were 6,000 more in just the Rio Grande Valley of Texas. And in California, the amount of families apprehended was even down as compared to last year. Sarah Pierce, a policy analyst with the Migration Policy Institute, says the rapid rise in the amount of children at the southwest border is behind the crowding in Border Patrol facilities.
The number of unaccompanied child migrants arriving in January and February of this year have not yet reached the peaks that we saw in 2014 or 2019. But what did set a record was the increase, the difference between the number of children that arrived in January and the number of children that arrived in February did set a record.
Right now, San Diego Border Patrol stations are not experiencing similar crowding, but that could change as more families are flown here and then deported. In Tijuana, many families are still waiting in El Chaparral Plaza for their chance to claim asylum in the U.S., even as the U.S. sends out audio messages telling them to go home or seek shelter.
La frontera está cerrada.
But for Margie Rosales, who has already camped out for 5 weeks already with her young daughter, there is no home to go to. She says she can't go back to Honduras, and she has no money to pay rent, and the shelters are full. In Tijuana, Max Rivlin-Nadler, KPBS News.